In this video, we'll explore how to set up your Ethereum node using Lido's community staking module on a Dappnode. We'll cover hardware and software requirements you'll need for this process, how to generate Keystore and deposit data safely using a popular tool called Wagyu, Dappnode initial setup procedures, how to set up your node, choose consensus and execution clients, and configure MEV Boost, how to upload your deposit data to CSM using Lido's dedicated CSM widget, and finally, how to maintain your node and where to find additional support. First off, let's take a look at some of the hardware and software requirements. You'll need a dedicated PC to run your node. For this guide, we'll use a Dappnode Home, which comes pre-installed with Dappnode software for a simplified experience. However, you're free to use your own hardware and software if you desire. You'll also need an internet connection and a router which supports port forwarding. Ideally, your router should also support Universal Plug and Play, or UPnP for short. You should also download and install WireGuard, which will allow you to connect to your Dappnode securely and from anywhere in the world. Finally, you'll need a software to generate your validator keys. For this guide, we'll use the popular Wagyu generator. Next, we're going to generate our key stores and deposit data. Before we start this step, please make sure you're in a safe environment like your home or office and that you are connected to a trusted Wi-Fi network. You should also physically block any camera devices around you, such as laptop cameras or phone cameras, and make sure that no one is standing behind you during this process. Finally, ensure that your internet and wireless connections, such as Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth, are disabled during this procedure. To start off, launch Wagyu Keygen and click Create New Recovery Phrase. This will generate a fresh 24-word seed phrase which will be used to generate your validator keys. For this guide, we'll be setting up a testnet node. Click Create to generate our seed phrase. Once the seed phrase is displayed, make sure to physically write it down on a piece of paper and keep it in a safe location. It is not recommended to store the seed phrase online or on any device connected to the internet. Once that's done, you should retype the seed phrase onto Wagyu to make sure you have noted it down correctly. If you've typed your seed phrase correctly, you're ready to create your validator keys. First, you need to decide how many keys to generate. This number will determine the number of validators you wish to use on your one node. This is entirely up to you to decide, depending on your hardware capabilities and the bond amount you are willing to deposit. In our case, we'll be generating 10 validator keys. Since we're planning on using Lido CSM, we can calculate how much bond we're expected to pay by following Lido's bond curve. For this example, we should expect to see a total of 16.5 ETH worth of bond. Please make sure you check out Lido's documentation for the mainnet bond curve, which hasn't yet been public at the time of making this video. The next step is to set a password to protect your keys. Make sure to memorize this as you will need it later on. And finally, you are asked for an Ethereum withdrawal address. Since we're setting up a node with Lido CSM, we should set this to Lido's withdrawal vault on testnet. Please make sure you are setting the correct address by visiting Lido's official documentation. After retyping your password, you should create a folder to store your keys in. Once you're ready, click Create to start generating your keys. This step should not take too long unless you're creating a large amount of keys. After the confirmation message appears, you can open up the target folder and confirm that your files are present. You should have one Keystore file for every key you set to generate in the previous step and an additional deposit data file. If you haven't so already, connect your Dappnode to your router, power it on, and wait for about 2 minutes for it to boot up. You should see a Wi-Fi network appear called Dappnode Wi-Fi. Connect to it. After connecting, open a new browser tab and type my.dappnode to access your Dappnode's UI and register a new admin username and password. Use these credentials to log into your Dappnode and start setting up your device. The first option is called Repository Source and will determine how your device will list and download packages available in the Dapp Store. Running a full node is resource intensive, but lets you host the Ethereum blockchain on your device, ensuring maximum decentralization. On the other hand, running a remote node is a lightweight solution, but you'll have to rely on an external Ethereum node for package distribution. In this guide, we're setting up a testnet node, and therefore we can leave this option on remote for now. We'll leave auto updates on and skip system notifications. We can set this up at a later time. Once we're done with the setup wizard, we still have some security settings to check. Head over to the Wi-Fi tab on the left and change the default password for your Dappnode's Wi-Fi hotspot. You can also head over to local network and disable the local network proxy. Since we'll be setting up a secure VPN tunnel later on, disabling this local proxy will serve as an additional security measure for your device. Next, let's select the VPN tab on the left. You should see a device called Dappnode Admin already created for you. Click the Get Link button to expose your WireGuard configuration file and click Copy Config. Next, let's open up WireGuard and click Add an empty tunnel and paste your config onto the large box below. Give your tunnel a name and click Save. To check if the setup was successful, disconnect from your Dappnode's Wi-Fi hotspot and connect back to your main network. On WireGuard, make sure you activate the tunnel before attempting to access my.dappnode in your browser. It's now time to set up our node. Head over to the Stakers tab on the left and select the target chain. In this step, we need to select our execution and consensus clients, configure our Web3 signer, and configure MEV Boost. So let's start with execution and consensus clients. If possible, you should select a minority client to increase overall client diversity, and you can check the most up-to-date values on clientdiversity.org. Each client has slight differences from one another, such as synchronization speed and resource usages. You can check the documentation for each for more details. For this guide, we'll select gETH as our execution client and Lighthouse as our consensus client. We'll also activate Web3 Signer and MEV Boost. Once MEV Boost is selected, we need to decide which relays to use. Since we're using Lido CSM, we need to make sure we only activate specific designated relays, which we can find in Lido's documentation. In this case, all available relays are present in Lido's testnet relay list, so we'll activate them all. Scroll down and click Apply Changes. Click Continue and accept Dappnode's terms and conditions. Your device will now automatically download and install the required packages for your staker configuration, so this step might take some time. Once everything is activated, you should see an Upload Keystores button appear under Web3 Signer module. This is where we'll upload the keys we generated in the first step of this guide, so let's go ahead and select it. Click Import and deselect Import Slashing Protection Data. Next, select all the Keystore files except for the deposit data file and drag them to the first box. We're also going to use the same password, fee recipient, and tag for every file. Input the password you set for generating the keys, and for staking protocol, select Lido. The fee recipient is set automatically, so you don't need to worry about this. Scroll all the way down, confirm that all your Keystore files are present, and click Submit Keystores. final step is to upload our deposit data to Lido CSM. Before proceeding, confirm that your nodes are synced and running. You can do this by accessing your dashboard and checking the status of your execution and consensus clients. In this example, our consensus client is fully synced, but our execution client is not. So if this is the case, simply leave your device online and wait for it to sync up. When both our execution and our consensus clients are synced, they will appear with a green bar. If this is the case, we are ready to proceed. Open a new tab and access Lido's CSM widget. Click on Become a Node Operator and connect your wallet. This wallet should be funded with the required bond amount calculated earlier, in our case 16.5 ETH. After clicking on Create Node Operator, you are asked for your deposit data. This is one of the files generated with the other Keystore files, so copy-paste it into the box. The bond amount and number of keys should appear below. If everything seems correct, click on Create Node Operator and accept the transaction. Once the transaction is confirmed, you can close the UI window and check that your keys are uploaded successfully by selecting View Keys. If you access your dashboard, you should also have all your keys labeled as depositable. You should now simply wait for your CSM validated keys to be deposited by the Lido protocol. This could take several days to complete, and so you should try and keep your validators online in the meantime. Once the full process is complete, your validator should be labeled as active on your dashboard. There are a few things you can do to maintain your node functioning correctly. First off, you should try and minimize your node's downtime as much as possible, since you will get penalized for missed attestations. You can consider installing an uninterruptible power supply, or UPS for short, which will provide temporary power to your Dappnode and router in case of a power outage. Secondly, it is not recommended to have a backup node. This might seem counterintuitive, but having the same set of keys uploaded to two different devices can cause your validators to get slashed in case both devices are online at the same time. Slashing penalties are significantly more severe than offline time penalties, so it is preferable to optimize your single node setup and risk some downtime than to set up a backup device and risk getting slashed. You should also make sure your device is placed somewhere with good airflow in order to reduce internal temperatures and increase performance. Closets and small rooms are bad locations, whilst an open room with windows is much better. Finally, you should also clean dust inside your device every once in a while by carefully using a can of compressed air. If you have any questions or need additional support in setting up your CSM node, visit both Lido and Dappnode's documentations linked in the description of this video, or reach out to the team on both Discord channels.